What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with the next tune in the We Save Us playlist curated by Kim. And this is another one from Elton John, an artist I've enjoyed getting a fuller sense of, although of course I'm just scratching the very top of the Elton John iceberg at this point. But yes, we are going to listen to a tune from a 1974, I believe, album called Caribou, and it's called Ticking. Kim did mention this one was written by Bernie Taupin, if I'm saying that correctly. And the essence of the lyrics, so I understand, is that it's thinking about hoping for a world in which incidents, violence, like is evidently described in the song, is no longer happening, is no longer a feature of the world. And of course, in the current climate, it's hard to envision that, but of course having optimism even in the face of evidence that would suggest otherwise is perhaps one of the most admirable human traits, the idea of holding out hope even when the odds are stacked against you, and hoping for better behavior even when all you see around you is bad, violent, and or vitriolic behavior. And the Tears for Fears quote that she attached to this one is from Rivers of Mercy. I want to make sure I'm quoting it correctly. But yes, it's, "I too often see the world through a veil of tears," which, again, as a historian, I completely understand. As someone who tries to pay attention to current events, I think that is an unavoidable sentiment in many respects currently. So yes, ultimately I feel like this is both timely and perhaps timeless. Let's give it a listen. This is Elton John. The tune is Ticking, and it's from 1974, though apparently this is a remastered version from 1999. Or is it 99? No, 95, sorry.
An extremely quiet child, they called you in your school report. He's always taken interest in the subjects that he's taught. So what was it that brought the squad car screaming up your drive? To notify your parents of the manner in which you died. As St. Patrick's every Sunday, Father Fletcher heard your sins. Oh, he's unconcerned with competition. He never cares to win. But a blood-stained young hand that never held a gun, and his parents never thought of him as their troubled son. Now you'll never get to heaven, Mama said. Remember, Mama said, ticking, ticking, grow up straight and true blue, run along to bed. Here it, ticking, ticking. They had you hold up in a downtown bar, screaming for a breeze. Some gook said his brains just snapped. Then someone called the police. You knifed a Negro waiter who had tried to calm you down. Oh, you pulled a gun and lay still on the ground. Promising to hurt no one, providing they were still. A young man tried to make a break with tear-filled eyes. You killed that gun, but felt so smooth and warm, cradled in your palm. Oh, your childhood cried out in your head, they mean to do you harm. Don't ever ride on the devil's knee, Mama said. Remember, Mama said, dig in, pay your penance, well, my child, feel where angels tread. Hear it, dig in. Within an hour, the news had reached the media machine. A male Caucasian with a gun had gone berserk in Queens. The area had been sealed off, the kids sent home from school. 14 people lying dead in a bar they called the Kickin' U. Oh, they pleaded to your sanity for the sake of those inside. Throw out your gun, walk out slow, just keep your hands held high. But they pumped you full of rifle shells as you stepped out the door. Oh, you danced in the death like a marionette on the vengeance of the Lord. You slept too long in silence, Mama said. Remember, Mama said, dig in, crazy boy, you'll only wind up with strange notions in your head. Hear it, dig in.
Oof. What an ending sonically. Really extends the moment and leaves you with the tale and the imagery just conveyed. Still going with that electric bass. So yes, a very well crafted song lyrically, so shout out to Bernie Taupin. An incredible song sonically and vocally. I mean, vocally, it's not exceptional in that he's not belting insanely or, hyper dynamic, changing his delivery, but he hits the moments, I think, emotionally perfectly. And yeah, we have some different piano styles. I mean, some of it is very forte and intense, some of it is very flourishing. There was like a trill moment, other sections are more like meandering and lyrical, if you will. And then of course there's some like electric keyboard in there, including these like organ style chords, and then that last section which really sort of extended. But yes, the piano is the main driver of the tune sonically, and again, the energy of certain moments seems to match the narrative. And while I don't lay claim to having caught everything, I think I have a general understanding of what takes place. This boy, as a young kid, he's interested in his studies, he's a bright young boy. His parents don't have a sense that as he grows older, he's becoming more troubled. And indeed, I was thinking when I looked at the title, I forgot to mention this in the intro, but what ticks, right? Clocks tick, yes, but so do bombs, especially time bombs, things that on a long enough timeline and without being diffused or addressed, put into a safe place, will explode and cause damage, destruction, harm, death. So again, maybe there's more to the title ticking, and I don't there was the use of the word ticking after like Mama said, so I don't know if Mama said ticking. I think Mama said some of these other lines that we hear. But yes, it feels like ticking here is being used in regard to a ticking time bomb, something that is not helped, is not addressed, is not supported or soothed, and eventually explodes. And so yeah, it sounds like, again, he got more and more troubled, but no one really noticed. His parents, thought he was a good boy. It sounds by the time of his violent attack and outburst and maybe psychosis in the kicking mule, that maybe he'd picked up some strange ideas, as was said at the end of the tune, and seemingly like maybe was lashing out at other racial groups, or people that maybe he had it in his head that were part of the problem. Maybe he had become prejudiced. But it also sounds like he's committing violence more broadly, like someone shouted like, oh, look out, and he like stabs a waiter or someone at the bar who was like trying to calm him down, and then pulls out a gun, and it feels, warm against his, like in the crook of his arm, and he ends up shooting and killing 14 people, maybe wounding others. So it's like he snapped. He finally exploded, and it's again maybe because of the way a bright young boy who was interested in his studies was treated poorly. Maybe the world was inhospitable or harsh. And I don't quite know about Mom and Dad. Like, maybe I missed a line or two. Maybe they weren't all that great to him. Maybe they were fine as parents, but again, maybe not as attentive as they needed to be or as they could have been. But yes, it seems like maybe the world was inhospitable. Maybe he just got it in his head. Maybe, he didn't have that tough of a life compared to others, but like this festered, and this, troubled nature and sense of, paranoia or propensity to lash out with violence at what he saw as being threatening or problematic was not dealt with or put into check, and eventually he committed a horrible act of a massacre of violence, and innocent lives that were on their own trajectories were cut short. And then it sounds like as he came out of the bar, told to put your weapons down, keep your hands up, but it sounds like they shot him, and like I think the reference was to like a marionette, where strings are being pulled. So I think he was actually killed on his way out of the bar, a sad and violent end to an already violent act, and nothing about it being something that you can say, oh, well, at least like this didn't happen or that didn't happen. It's, bad across the board. So yes, ultimately a painful tale, and, given all the school shootings and things which have happened between 1974 and now, it feels like this is a song that is as relevant as ever, unfortunately. So again, shout out to Kim for preparing these tunes, selecting these tunes, giving context, attaching Tears for Fears quotes that are in a similar vein. And once again, shout out to Yvonne and Michaela who've added tunes to this playlist. Let me know what you think of this one. See you next time. Peace.